The blessings of forgiveness is the topic before the house this morning. One of my mentors in my early days of ministry in Ohio was a fellow named Gordon McKeeman, known as Bucky. He died last year. He was one of the remaining Universalist trained ministers around. He served at the church in Akron for many, many years, was the president of our seminary at Star King in Berkeley. Gordon McKeeman was in Cincinnati one Sunday afternoon for an ordination of one of my colleagues, and I had part of the service, but he had the charge to the minister. And he spoke about what ministry means and gave an explanation that I've sort of locked on to and remember all these years later, which is over 30, I guess. Gordon said, as a minister, you must talk nonsense, do magic, and do it with mirrors. And then he went on to elaborate those three different characteristics. And it was just one of those moments that you go, aha. You got to talk nonsense. You got to talk about issues like love and forgiveness. You got to do magic. You got to go to a hospital. You got to say something on a Sunday morning. You got to be a presence and a voice that somehow creates a change of reality for some person. You do magic. And you do it all with mirrors. You do it authentically, through yourself. You don't bring warmed over stuff. You don't bring things that are not true to your being and your becoming. So a Unitarian Universalist minister talks nonsense, does magic, and does it with mirrors. Gordon McKeeman, a fine gentleman and a great minister. Well, I want to talk nonsense this morning a minute. And I want y'all to go with me in this. Because when anybody says the word forgiveness, I think wuss. Hit him again. You let him up, he'll get you. I have the distinction of having one wrestling match, one fight in my life. It was in the third grade. We'd been playing on the playground at break, recess, 2 or 3 of my buddies, and we had this thug amongst us, and he kept picking on us. Well, something snapped in little old fat Doak, and he went into him. And I can still taste the leaves, it was in the fall, and the dust as we wrestled and kicked and gnawed at one another, probably for all of 30 seconds. But he gave up. He said, leave me alone, that's enough. So I retired a champion right then and there. I'm no more prouder than Muhammad Ali. You know, I left when I was ahead. The idea of forgiveness is really about a negotiated relationship with someone. Now let's take it real personal now. Think of something right now that you just have not been able to forgive. Could be some mean stuff. I have a few people in my autobiography that'll share you a few things about me. There are some unforgivable things I've done in my life. Thank goodness they're not too reprehensible. They're not too uncommon. They're just sort of what comes with a human being. I am persuaded that we as struggling human beings, seeking to grow a soul, have to day in and day out deal with the animal inside us. The selfish, the preferred. I'm number one. Watch out for that other guy, he'll take your stuff. We're always struggling with that issue of how it is to be in the world, calm, involved, apart, and not afraid. The animal is there. It keeps us on edge. It keeps our instincts sharp. It helps us understand. But it is not the intent of our lives. It is not the culmination of our lives. We are in a process of growth and change that we are a link. And our children make a little progress. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And civilization in these last 60,000 years or so have moved to a point today that we're, always at a new opportunity, always at a new place to create a new situation, and a new possibility for the human condition, based on choices that are nonsensical to the animalistic, nonsensical to the survival of the fittest. It means that we reach out, hold hands on each side, and understand that we have the possibility to together to engage the difficulties of life. Forgiveness is a negotiated relationship to say, I will acknowledge and say to you my deep hurt that you have done this to me, but I cannot hold it against you. I will renew our contract if you will renew our contract. And I don't want to be sweet talking here. Some of us need to pay a little penance. Some of us need to understand the implications of the choices we've made. Some of them are just inadvertent. Some of us just come with our mindlessness or our short-sightedness. But some of them come with some malicious and meanness in our hearts because it comes out of fear. We're scared that we're not good enough, that we can't cope, that what that other person brings to our relationship is a threat to me. We've depended on that person too much to fulfill something that's not in me. Someone who is so invested in you that they cannot live without you, that they have no life other than your life, is a problem because it's a responsibility that most of us cannot carry. So the blessings of forgiveness is for us to move into a situation of relatedness that we understand that each of us are human beings struggling with an animal instinct to be about a survival modality that can hurt folks, that can push folks back. And we multiply that by civilization, by a world, by the producers and the privileged of the world, and we have people striking back out of their colonialism from the past because they've got grudges that they need to make square with us. See, you never whip somebody. You never beat somebody. You never conquer somebody. You just delay violence. You say that again. You never defeat anybody with violence. You never subdue someone against their will. You never make anybody do anything that they want to do without repercussions, without things happening, without a payback. So anytime as we're moseying along in this life of ours, the choices we make a difference. And the choice to be short-sighted and say, well, I could push over on this. This is for me. Who's more important to me? Who's going to take care of me if I don't take care of me? Well, what in the hell is it going to mean just to step back and let that person who obviously has more needs than you, because you can see how they're acting, to let them have their way? What's the matter with that graciousness? Does that lose you anything? Does that take away from your personality? Is something robbed from you from that? No, it's the opposite. It says I'm big enough to absorb that. I don't have to be sucked in by that pettiness. I do not have to play by those rules. I can hear the words of nonsense and know they are sensible. More sensible than anything I can think of. Because payback means payback. And it just goes generation after generation after generation. One of the saddest things today in, I think, education is people don't like history. Don't want to talk about history. History is boring. It's such a shame. Because unless we have a sense and a grasp of how the human condition has progressed, what have been the downfalls, what have been the problems, we have no notion of how to change our ways and to move forward. We're still operating on a city-state modality that says if somebody knocks down, attacks us in a sneak attack, we still do the same thing we did with Pearl Harbor. 9/11. Based on lies. You said it. Based on lies. FDR sort of fudged the truth in 1941 about the Japanese, and we were fed a pile of crap about 9/11. And we go off the same old way. Well, we're going to make sure we get it right this time. We're going to root out terrorism. Do you know how hard that is? You can't root out terrorism in Tampa. You can't root it out of the human heart with more violence. Better thugs do not make better terrorists. They just make more efficient terrorists. I just contradicted myself. I've gone somewhere I didn't want to go. Forgiveness is the possibility of you owning your hurt and saying to yourself, maybe not even to the other, I will not be downed by this. I will not be crippled by this. Because I have the power of response. Nobody can take that away from me. Look at what happened with generation after generation of black slavery in this country. The spirit was never broken. It was never broken. The main ability to maintain an integrity and to understand their environment and to survive in spite of all the cruelties, in spite of all the rejections, in spite of all the hurt. Human dignity overcame because the people were smart enough, thorough enough, and loving enough to say, it's not about them, it's about me. And they can't take anything from me that I don't give them. The blessings of forgiveness are pretty simple. We withdraw our entanglement with resentment and vengeance and resolving to other tactics to make our way known. We withdraw that mechanism. We withdraw that energy. And that gives us a possibility to do something else, something more creative, to be about living our lives, not drawn by a wound that maybe not even remembered by the one who was the perpetrator, only carried by us because it served some purpose. It served for us to feel sad and mad about ourselves, about being victimized. They took me in. They suckered me. Big whoop-de-deal. Is that on you or them? Does their meanness and their disregard for you have anything to do with your value and who you are? Well, hell no. Just because they were able to put something over on you, it means they manipulated the situation so they could feel good about themselves. What a limited life that must be. The blessings of forgiveness is an opportunity for us to detach from involvement and engagement that is all of a negative. It's all of a downer. It all saps our energy. It makes for cancer of the spirit. For us to move away, to look into a new direction, to make another choice, to find a creative way to respond to life without that old pullback, without that dragging behind us. I'll just never be able to forgive them for what they did to me. I just won't ever forget what they did to me. I just can't let them off of that. Let them off. Release yourself from them. Take the power they have over your life away from you. It is in your power to do that. And if you want to end their influence, do it. Do it. Not be crippled, not be informed, not be characterized by that hurt of what you feel from that. The blessings of forgiveness is not going to some God on high, some confessional booth, some teenage gossip session, and whispering to one another about what we did and all that. Forgiveness is about an onward attitude toward life, that nothing diminishes us, nothing diminishes me unless I let it. Let me learn from the teaching here. Let me learn what I wasn't watching, wasn't listening, was not aware of. Let me be about recognizing some things that could help me cope better, respond better to the situations of life. But let me not be trapped in that feeling forever. I would suggest to you very sincerely that you claim the blessings of forgiveness, to use them for yourself and also when you need them to ask for them from other people. I'm sorry I did that. I was not thinking. That was mean. That was inappropriate. Well, that sounds too much like a soap opera, right? It makes the difference. It makes a difference. Because when we do that, we recognize in our courage to say it that we're looking at another human being that we value. And if we do not value one another, we can get away with anything. May it be so, and may we experience forgiveness as we are forgiven. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. The saluting of the Jesus prayer. Forgive our trespasses, and we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. That's what we wanted. Look where forgiveness came. Look where forgiveness came. Forgive my trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation. Let us make better choices. Let us be about organizing a commonwealth of life and love that can bless us all. And we do that released from the guilt, from the hurt, from the legacy of unrequited meanness. The blessings of forgiveness are for us if we but claim them and own them. Amen.